Good afternoon. My name is Sergio Abit and Mr. I'm from the Oklahoma State University and I serve as the state specialist for on-site wastewater treatment systems or septic systems. This afternoon we're going to talk about the aerobic treatment systems or aerobic treatment units. Some people call it ATUs. And ATUs right now is the most popular type of septic systems in the state. In fact, since 2013, it has already replaced conventional systems as the #1 system installed in the state of Oklahoma. With us this afternoon is Mr. Lonnie Welch. Lonnie is from Clearstream Wastewater Treatment, Inc. Lonnie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Sergio. As you said, my name is Lonnie Welch. I work for Clearstream Wastewater Systems, Incorporated. I've been with the company now right at 14 years. I currently handle sales and technical support for the company.
Very good. So we have a lot of experience here. Here's my first question here. What is the fundamental difference between a conventional system and the aerobic treatment system?
One of the main differences between a conventional or septic tank and an aerobic treatment plant is the presence of air. An aerobic treatment system injects air into the system to create a colony of bacteria to help treat the wastewater. Mm-hmm. Also, it has several different types of dispersal systems. So once the water is treated, in a conventional system, you're going out through lateral lines or through pressure dose, whereas with a treatment plant, you can go through regular lateral lines or spray irrigation or drip.
So spray irrigation or drip, that's a good way because many people don't have enough area for conventional systems. So that's a good innovation right there. Second question is, what are the basic components of an aerobic treatment system?
Basic components usually consist of a pre-treatment tank, or what some people call it, a trash tank.
So it's just like a septic tank?
Just like a septic tank, only on a smaller version to catch a lot of the non-organics and things like that. Then you have your treatment system or your aeration chamber.
Okay.
And you have your clarifier.
All right.
Most systems are a 3-tank system in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm.
So in the aeration tank, that's when you bubble air, right? You introduce air to it?
Correct. It's inside the aeration chamber, you have the mixed liquor area. Mm-hmm. And as the water becomes light or treated, it comes up through the clarifier.
Right.
And so only the treated water comes off the top of the clarifier and goes into your pump tank.
Okay. And 1 o'clock in the morning, at some certain time, we pump the water to the treatment area, right?
It depends. If it is a spray unit, then yes, in Oklahoma they spray at night.
Okay.
Whereas with a drip, every hour we're sending so much water out there 24 hours a day because it's going subsurface, you don't see it. So it can be 5 minutes on, an hour off, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week out to your drip field. What
are some of the things that an homeowner need to make sure so that an ATU will continue to function effectively for, a long time?
Well, there are a few things that a homeowner needs to do when he has an aerobic treatment unit. The first thing is to watch his water usage. Okay. Or space it out. Instead of coming home on Saturday and washing 10 loads of clothes, we need to space that out during the week, a load every day. If you have large families, 6 or 7 people in the house, we don't all want to come in at 5, 6 o'clock and take a shower.
Okay.
We want to space that out so that we're having an even, small flow going into the unit all the time. The other thing we need to do is we need to also become aware of what we put into the unit. Okay. We don't want to put harsh chemicals or oils or grease down the system. We don't want to put a lot of non-organics down the system, plastic, feminine products, things like that does not break down. Okay. And one of the things we also need to see is homes with garbage disposals. You don't treat it like a trash can. Okay. Everything doesn't go down in it. Don't put all your potato peels and everything. You're going to overload the system. Okay. And it's not going to be able to handle that. And that's going to cause you to have it pumped out way more often.
How about this? If I'm a homeowner, are there safety issues that I need to be aware of when I operate one of this or have one of these systems in the house?
This is going to be somewhere on your property, in your yard, most likely in the backyard, fenced in, where you may have children or pets. One of the things is make sure that all the access covers have this proper fastening materials on. Okay. They're all screwed down. That's just so things doesn't fall in, and children doesn't access it, or people that you don't want accessing access it. Okay. Another thing is chlorine. A misconception with chlorine is that every homeowner just about thinks that chlorine is to control odor. That chlorine is not for controlling odor. That chlorine is a disinfectant.
Gotcha.
We want to kill that bacteria before it goes out on our grass,
Cool.
before it goes out on our yard.
Anything else? How about those additives that, you know, are very common and fairly advertised?
You do not want to add anything to an aerobic treatment plant.
Okay.
You don't want to, things that are for your septic tank are not for here.
Oh, okay.
We have the bacteria there. We're going to grow them. We're going to inject enough air. They're going to grow. They're going to treat our water well.
Good. Very good.
We do not want additives added to our system.
What are some of the more common maintenance requirements that, you know, a homeowner has to be aware of about, you know, ATUs?
Well, ATUs are like anything that's mechanical. They require maintenance. If you maintain it properly, it'll just extend the life further and further down the road. If you don't maintain it, that's when problems happen. The aerator, the lifeblood of the system, that's what injects the air in, that's what keeps the bacteria alive. That's one of the main things that needs maintenance.
Okay, so
all of our aerators, you have your air filter under here. You need to clean this every 6 months. You know, just dust it off. You can wash it in some little detergent, dry it, put it back in there, turn the unit back on. That aerator is the lifeblood of the system.
okay,
In our system, we also have our diffuser, our surge control weir.
so what's the diffuser? It's where the air comes out, right?
That's the fine bubble diffusion.
Okay.
The finer the bubbles, the more surface area you have, the more areas the bacteria has to get to receive its oxygen.
Okay. All right, so inside there would be the diffuser, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you know, how do we get that off?
This is our diffuser right here.
And again, the diffuser, it's what spreads the air into the water, and when the air gets in contact with the water, so you're aerating it, and when you aerate it, suddenly microbes are happy because there's oxygen. So that's the diffuser, and you have to make sure that
it's clean, it's not clogged in any way. It could have a growth on it. It's best you can replace it every 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Annually is a good time to replace the diffuser.
How about pumping of these tanks? How often do we need to have this tanks pumped?
Well, that's a little bit of a tricky question in that it depends on how much they abuse them.
Well, okay.
The more of those stuff you're running down that garbage disposal, or the stuff you're putting in there that won't break down.
Okay.
That's what has to be pumped.
Okay.
On a normal system, 2 to 5 years.
2 to 5 years.
Before you should have to pump it.
Okay.
You also have other components like your surge control weir. So it could be stopped up. You know, you could need to clean it. It's very rare, but you should at least look at it, make sure that it's doesn't need cleaning.
So diffuser, that weir, the key components.
Right, inside clarifier.
Clarifier.
In a good working unit, you'll also have a scum layer on top of the clarifier.
Yeah.
If you break that up every 6 months, just break it up. It'll drift back down. It'll save you from having to pump it so often.
Very good, very good. All right, so those two things are very, very important. I have a situation for you. I've got actually 2 situations for you, you know, to end this thing. How about this? The effluent that is sprayed on the owner's backyard is a strong, very offensive odor, the smell of death. What does it mean?
Well, it means that the effluent's not being treated properly.
Okay.
That's why it has an odor. The first thing we have to check is we have to make sure we have the right airflow.
Okay.
Is our air compressor running? Is it putting out the right amount of air?
Okay.
Sometimes the homeowner may not be able to tell these things. You know, maybe time to call a technician to come out and look at it.
Very good.
If you have the proper airflow and the proper pressure, then it's time to look and see what you're putting into the system. Are you overloading it as a homeowner? Are you putting in harsh chemicals, oils, grease? Are you putting in other things that's disinfectants? You know, when you mop all that nice Spanish tile in your house, are you pouring that pine oil right down the sink?
Right.
Things like that may be killing the plant.
Okay. Okay.
You can always look into your clarifier and see, you know, if you have a nice rich chocolate layer on top of that, it's probably alive. If your clarifier is gray, it's dead.
Okay. Very good. So, and that's a sign that, hey, there's something wrong, right?
Either the air compressor's not working or you're putting something in to kill it.
All right.
And it's very easy to tell. A technician can come out and check the airflow and the pressure, and they can tell you your plant's mechanically sound. Now let's talk to you.
Oh, and here's another situation question.
Okay.
And a lot of these systems, by the way, has an alarm system if there's something wrong. So say, for example, one day my alarm, turn on? What does it mean?
On most systems, there's only two things that can cause an alarm. The air compressor is not running, or it's not producing the right air pressure, or you have a high level situation, high water.
Okay.
Your pump is out, or you've used a lot of water, something stopped up, it causes the high level float to come up. That's one of the alarms you can get. The other one's going to be your air compressor. It has a pressure switch on it. It sees that it has at least 1.5 to 2 psi depending on where it's set. If it doesn't see that kind of pressure, it gives you an alarm.
So maybe if there's an alarm, what? You call somebody who knows about it, right?
You need to call a technician to have them come out. In just a few minutes, they can at least isolate the problem.
Okay. All right, final question here. In Oklahoma, we know that we have severe weather all the time. Not all the time, but spring and summer. And during those times, we have power interruptions, and these things, basically run on electricity.
All right.
So if we have a power interruption, what are your suggestions? Or what does a homeowner need to do?
Well, because most of these are in rural applications, they do lose electricity. If you still have water to the house, you have to moderate your water usage, because that water is going straight on out to that system.
Okay.
It's not being treated because there's no electricity. The pump's not, your aerator's not running, and your pump can't pump out the effluent.
Okay.
It's going to stop. It's going to completely fill up and start backing up into the house.
Oh, that is bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't want to use, even if you have water coming in the house, you want to really moderate it. You don't want it running through your toilets, through your sinks, things like that. If you don't have water coming into the house, it's just going to sit out there and not do anything for 2 to 3 days, ever how long your electricity is off.
Right.
But once electricity is restored, within 24 to 48 hours, it should recover and everything should be fine. Unless you used a lot of water during that time and you've washed a lot of solids everywhere, and now you have to have it pumped.
Right.
So I guess my biggest thing is moderate your water usage when you don't,
water use.
when you don't have electricity.
As little as water as possible. So those are my questions. Do you have any final word, final reminders for our homeowners regarding the use of ATUs?
Just remember that all ATUs are mechanical and they need maintenance. Get with your local maintenance provider or technician. Have him come out and maintain it every 6 months. Check everything. It'll save you money in the long run, and it'll operate much more efficiently.
Okay. I want to add to that to end this thing. I just want to remind everyone that septic systems are not install and forget system. Imagine your septic systems to be an expensive appliance, like, for example, a $6,000 appliance. If you buy something like that and it's very important to your house, you would take care of that and use it properly. So those are just my final reminders. With that, I'd like to say thank you again, Lonnie. Thanks for coming and sharing your experience. And,
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you, and thank you very much.